Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the woods. It is the beginning of October and let's go foraging, let's see what we can find. We are not 5 feet in and we have some puffballs down here. This one's been kicked up or picked or something. A few little ones down here. But I can already see loads of fungi round here. Some down there. So this should be a very promising day. But these look like just common puffballs to me. If my camera will focus. Still firm enough, maybe a little bit too squishy, but the other one should be perfect. I'm in a pine woodland, so obviously there are lots of pine needles around. Pine needles are edible, though they do not taste very nice. They're best brewed into a tea, very high in vitamin C. And as discussed in previous video, you can eat the bark of these, the pine cambium from a pine tree. I will not be doing that today because it's incredibly damaging to the tree, but I do have a separate video on that if you want to see it. Just down here we have bigger puffball there. Some of the little fungi there. In there, there's something else. Absolutely loads around. Unfortunately, I can't identify most of them, but I can identify the edible ones. Knowing edible plants and fungi and stuff is one thing, but foraging a full meal, getting enough calories, getting enough nutrients to actually sustain yourself is a whole other thing. So that's what I'm doing today. Going to show you guys that. Forage. I'm not doing any hunting today because I'm not on private property, so I'm just taking what I can legally take from our surrounding area. So let's see what I can do. Here we've got rose hips, or dog rose, grows on the Rosa canina tree. These are one of the few berries in the UK that grow well into the winter. Now they are edible, but they do contain seeds which are incredibly hairy and furry. They're still very solid. If you were to harvest them now, you have to mash them down and process them. Later in the winter, after the first frost, they go mushy and they're a lot better to work with. I'm going to leave these on the tree today. They will not be suitable to go into my stew pot, but good one to know. Very high in vitamin C and D, which in the winter, obviously in the UK, is something you'll need. So we've just stumbled across, not edible, well, fun time edible. So we've got Amanita muscaria there. There's quite a few. They look like they've been picked. They look like they've been cut. 1, 2, 3. There's one there, 2 there. There's more there. They've been cut. But there's absolutely tons of them around here. Someone's going to be having a good night. Down there, some big ones, some nice ones, fun times. So just in here, it's looking a bit sad, but we have a fireweed here. It has a very purple flower when it's early in the season, then it goes to turn to this like seed type structure. So the entire plant is edible. The choice part of it, there's like a pith that runs down the centre of the stalk. But obviously these are starting to die off now, and they look a bit diseased, so they're probably not very good. But the real treat on these is underground. They have a long rope-like root, and it's basically pure starch. So great to dig up in an emergency survival situation. The leaves and the flowers earlier in the year, they're using something called Kapuri tea, which is like a sacred tea to Siberian peoples. So good one to know. It grows all the way up into the Arctic Circle as well. I've never foraged in this woodland before, and that's one thing you'll know if you are a regular forager. You just learn where things are in your local woodland, so it actually becomes very easy. If you go back to the same spots again and again and again, wild garlic grows in the same spots, trees in the same place, blah blah blah, year after year after year. So it becomes really easy. So this challenge, I'm just throwing myself into a completely new woodland I've never been in before. So let's see what I can do with this. There are lots of edibles around that I've shown in other videos, like we've got plantain down here, there's plenty of dandelions and stuff around. I will pick them. There's thistles, brambles, all this kind of stuff that I have shown in videos before, and it's very common, so I'm not going to bother. Oh, there's some like still usable blackberries down there though. I might take those. Let's go. Oh, quite a few in there actually. But yeah, no, I will not be showing every single plant, just the newer ones or more interesting ones. So we have 2 different fungi growing on this log. We have stump puffballs, which are these ones. I'm not sure what these are. They could be edible, I don't know what they are, but a lot of these are a little bit past it. But some of these younger ones, yeah, they're still solid enough. And there's some up here as well. So they'll be going in with the regular puffballs. Ladies and gentlemen, we have hit the jackpot. We have oysters. Just double check. Yes, we have oysters. Ooh, and there's something in there as well. I'll check that out in a minute. Still in pretty good condition, absolutely solid, fantastic. Let's harvest these up. I'll probably only take these 3. I'll leave the rest of them. Just don't want to over harvest, but fantastic. I feel like if I bathed in this random pool in the middle of a pit in the middle of the woods with yew trees overhanging it. The ancient British people, the Celts and that, used to think that yew trees were a gate to the underworld. So given there is a pool with two of them overhanging it in the middle of the woods in a mysterious pit, I bet if I bathed in there I'd come out with some magical powers, but also some mad curse as well. So we have some usable jelly here down here. There is some dog's mercury around, but these are covered by the brambles, so they should be safe. So here we have what's called a squirrel table. As you can see, there's all these chestnut shells up here, which tells me that our squirrels like to be up. So when they get something, they don't just stay hidden in the foliage, they sit up so that they can see what's around them. So you can see all over here. So if I was a hunter, I'd set a trap up here or around here, or I'd just sit over there with my slingshot or air rifle and pop it as it came in. But I'm also going to be cheeky, and there's some fat chestnuts here, so I'm taking a load of chestnuts. Oh England, you never cease to amaze me with your never-ending levels of new terribleness. Definitely using a crime and then just left here to be burnt out. Fun times. Squirrels have got to most of the chestnuts, but there is still some around still in the shells. Don't know if the squirrels have got all the big ones though. Oh no, there we go. Some fat ones there. Down here we have moon daisy or oxeye daisy. There's a few of them in there. This one's hanging on pretty late in the year, but they're a very beautiful flower. Obviously they're just a giant daisy. Both these daisies and regular sized daisies are edible, although these ones are notorious for having a really foul smell. So here we have a plant I have covered before, but not in this stage. So this is Cotigus monogina, the hawthorn berry, and these are absolutely massive. I've never really seen them this big before. So these are the berries of the hawthorn tree, if my camera will focus, and the flesh is edible, but the seed inside is poisonous. So you just squeeze the seed out, it'll pop out, and that leaves you this edible flesh here. So you do lose most of the mass of it. However, this stuff sets like it's got pectin in it, so it sets like jelly. So if you get loads of this and squeeze out all the stones and mash it up into like a pulp, it will just set like jelly, and then you can slice it up and people make fruit leather out of it. I will do a whole separate video on this, but hawthorn, Cotigus monogina, it is edible in all year round. There are edible parts of it all year round. Good one to know. Great winter survival food. Here we have the classic dandelion, the dandelion. Get a few of those leaves coming with me. Add some roughage to our stew pot. Just while we're waiting for the fire to get some embers, we're just going to give our medley a wash. So in here we've got the jelly, the two different types of puffballs, some dandelion and a few other little bits. Just get as much of that dirt off as possible. The dirt's not going to hurt us, but it's still better to not. It's a brand new pot, I've only just had this, it's the first time I've ever used it. And then what I'm going to do, the chestnuts, going to go just on one of these stones once they get hot enough, and then I'm going to get a stick, make a hanger, and I'm going to roast the oyster mushrooms. I'm only going to roast one, I'm going to take the other home and dry them over the fire, because you know it's a bit of a waste to boil oyster mushrooms, to be honest with you. You can see how grey and nasty that water has turned, so all that stuff there will be getting off my food. So here we go, we've got my medley of different fungi and foliage in there, we've got my oyster mushroom cooking up there, chestnuts roasting there, and I've got some pine needles in my clean canteen there, ready to boil up and make some pine needle tea. So let's let all this cook and then let's get eating. So this has been boiling away for a while. That looks pretty much done in there. I had to move this, it wasn't quite cooking. It's looking toasty, but I'm going to leave it on for a while. Let's flip it over. And, oh, whoops. Knocked a few off, but these could do with a while longer, so I'm just going to start eating from here and let these keep cooking.
Whenever I'm out in the woods, I never take my headphones with me, listen to music or anything like that, which is really weird because normally in my day-to-day life I just cannot absolutely stand being in silence. Like I can't even go to the kitchen without putting a video on YouTube or something to watch just while I walk to the kitchen to grab a snack. I think, I don't know, maybe it's an ADHD thing, but I find it so settling just being outside in nature with the sounds of nature and the trees and stuff around me. I just feel like I don't need any sound. It's amazing. It's kind of therapy for me.
So here we have our oyster mushroom that we just roasted up. Now, oyster mushrooms are edible raw. I believe this was a pearl oyster. So they are edible raw anyway. They just don't taste great raw. So cooking them enhances the flavour. So now this is the first time I've eaten one of these without any seasoning on it, and it does have a weird steaky-like taste to it, like a smoky steak. Like if you did one on a barbecue, obviously the smoke from the fire, plus the mushroom. It is very pleasant. I don't normally like mushrooms that much. There's that meaty flavour and a fairly meaty texture to it. If you look in there, you can see the white, almost chicken-like flesh. 7 out of 10, would recommend. Forgot about my pine needle tea. Very pleasant. So doing stuff like this really does bring home how hard it is to actually survive in these kind of situations. So I've had no problem today getting enough food, getting enough calories in. But if you were doing this day after day after day, you'd start to deplete your area. And if you're doing this for more than one person, I'm out here on my own, I've done one meal. It's been a 3-course meal. I had got like a mushroom and green soup, followed by a main meaty mushroom, and I've got my roasted chestnuts just roasting on the embers there with a nice tea to wash it down with. It's been a very pleasant experience, but doing this day after day after day, keeping enough calories, keeping enough food in is a difficult thing to do. Now, obviously, I'd be trying to hunt, trap, things like that, fish if I was out in forever in a long situation, but it does give you a new appreciation. Obviously, I'm on my own. If I was doing this with 2 or 3 people or a group, it'd be a whole lot harder. But, I hope you find this interesting, guys. Thanks for watching. Try this out yourself. Put your skills to the test. Have a good day.